What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Couch Boxing. I'm your host, Reckless Rex Ruger, watching my back, as always. You know him, you love him, El Flaco Explosivo, a.k.a. the Alexis Arguello Puppet. We're back with another banger of an episode, the home of the most amazing and real boxing conversations anywhere on the planet. Legends, luminaries, world champions, fighters on the come-up. Coming here to chop it up with your boy, Reckless Rex. And tonight we got another amazing one with a certified legend and OG of the boxing game. We've had him on before. Before he gets in here, and excuse me, I'm a little congested. It's that time of year here in upstate New York. Season's changing. Allergies flaring. What can you do? The show goes on. There's no crying in podcasting. There's also no editing, at least on my end. So any conferring you see will be, my guest is here, so we're going to get into it and chop it up right now. Let's get down to it.
Hey.
What's going on, my friend?
Sorry about that, man. There we go.
That's all right, man. That's all right, man.
Allow. There we go.
Yeah, I'm just happy to have you on here, man. I appreciate you doing it, man. Always, man.
On the go audio. All right, go.
Yeah, just gotta get your camera up.
Yep. Turn on. Let me turn all that off. All right, boom.
There you go. There you go. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Like really good. Life's been lifing, but I'm good with it.
Yeah. Are you still involved in the when I was putting together my notes and stuff to talk to you about? Are you still involved with the team Fight to Walk?
Nah, I'm not, man. None of that, man. Everything is new now, like fresh, like a whole fresh start. I haven't done anything with them in years.
Okay. But at one time, man, you were big into like advocating for stem cells for spinal cord injuries and stuff.
Oh yeah. Most I still am, but I haven't done anything with the group in a while. Cause I've been in Pittsburgh for about 10 years. Now I'm back in Philly. Back in Philly.
Why is Philly such a great fight town, man? Do you think, man? It seems to be such a hotbed for great boxers, man. You have a theory as to why that would be? Just a tough town?
Yeah. Like back in the day, 80s, you know what I mean? The 80s, the 90s, it was just a tough town thing. You know what I'm saying? But then it grew into from a tough town thing to, with some talented dudes here, in boxing. So,
right.
You got a rec center, every rec center in the neighborhood, in the city, and each different town, each different neighborhood had a boxing gym. So everybody was honing their skills here, there, and there. And then we all mix and mingle and spar and work with each other and grow off each other. So here's an example. I when I first moved back to Philly from the Navy, it was 2001. I went to the James Shoes Memorial Gym.
Yeah.
So in that gym, on any given day, most days, you had amateur Cool Boy Steph, amateur J-Rock, pro Yusuf Mack, who was a contender for the light heavyweight title three times, I believe.
Right.
Eddie Chambers, Frank Walker, myself, Rock and Tiger, Nazim's sons, Carl Dynamite Dargan, Bear Richardson, Tiberius Flowers. Sheesh, bro, the list goes on and on and on and on.
Crazy. I know.
And we're all feeding out. And I know I was in there. I was undefeated, 19-0, 20-0, became world champion. But I'm looking at J-Rock, who's with Breadman. I'm looking at Cool Boy Steph. I'm looking at Rock and Tiger. I'm in Dynamite. I'm still learning from the amateurs and the younger guys. I'm stealing from them, and that's just still sharpening steel, man. That's Philly, and you got great talent all over the place. You're just gonna be good.
And you must be pretty proud, man, to see a guy like Usyk, man, because like you had success, man, and climbed up from cruiserweight up to heavyweight, man. But I think a lot of people like look at you, Alexander Usyk, and say, "Wow, here's a cruiserweight who came up and is now dominating the heavyweight division."
Yeah, man. Usyk is a great man. It's awesome what he's done.
Yeah,
he's shown unbelievable talent, unbelievable grit, moving up in the weight class. But I tell you one thing that's really a help with him that I didn't have, and it could be, and it's my fault. The team he has, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he has a serious, solid team,
Yeah.
Eagles. You know what I mean? His management team, powerful.
Yeah.
You know, very powerful. So they can, boxing isn't just about, boxing used to be, and I thought it was. That's why I would take any fight. Boxing isn't about taking the hardest fights and the hardest fights. And nah, boxing's a business, man.
Yeah.
That's why we need managers.
Yeah.
Maneuver. Hey, we don't want this fight. We want that fight. This is an easier way to the title, which means an easier way to tens of millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Who wants the hard way to tens of millions of dollars when you can take an easier way?
Right.
You know,
Right.
keeping it real. So, and I'm not saying Usyk, you know, hopefully nobody gets this wrong. I'm not saying Usyk, you know, took some easy route. No, what I'm saying is he has a very powerful management team, and that's very helpful in the career, period. You know,
Yeah.
versus where, you know, my management team was at the time my ex-wife who was, you know, I mean, keep it real, she was non-confrontational. So we didn't get some of the sponsorship deals we needed.
Right.
We didn't get some of the things in the contract we needed because, you know, she wasn't, you know, sound in those areas of being straight up forward. Hey, look, this is my fighter. This is what we want. This is what we need. F that. Nah, you
Right.
know. So, but you know, we did what we did, and it's all good. You know what I mean? I got as far as I got, man, on some hardcore grit and hard work.
Are there names on your resume, man, that might seem conspicuously absent? Are there any fights that you were really craving to have, man, that just didn't come to fruition?
Yes, there's one fight that I know for a fact I wanted. I tried to get, but once he became unified champ, my belt, you know, the belt, the IBF,
Right.
he went up to heavyweight, which I didn't say he was running from me. I just understand this business side, you know. David Hay, you know,
Yeah.
I wanted to fight David Hay because he had all the belts. It's not because he's David Hay. It could have been a dude named Eric Lawson. You
Right.
know, if he had all the belts, I want to
Right.
fight you. So at that time, it was David Hay. I had nothing personal against David Hay. It's just he beat Jean-Marc Mormick on Showtime, unified, I think, the WBA with the other belts. And he had about 3-4 belts. And he just said, I unified the cruiserweight division. And I'm sitting there holding the IBF like, no, you
No, you
didn't,
didn't.
bruh.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You know, but this is the business side of things. He's had a good management team. They had the eye of the world at the time. He's fighting on Showtime. He
Right.
just knocked out a dude on Showtime
Right.
and got all these belts. Most people don't know what the hell these belts is.
Right.
They just see 3-4 belts and they're like, yeah, man, that guy's got all the belts. And he just said, I unified the title. I'm moving up to heavyweight. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And here you go. You have me fighting overseas quietly, winning belts and kicking butt. But it's in America is on the low, you know. So then nobody really knew me. So hey, that's a business move. Because why fight Steve Cunningham? Steve Cunningham's a difficult fight, win, lose, or draw.
Right.
Why take this chance? And
Yeah.
I'm just going up, and he knows he goes up to heavyweight, and he's got big money fights. I'm out. I'd have did the same thing. Possibly, or maybe me. I'm crazy. I'd fight.
Yeah.
I'd have fought the guy. Yo.
And so so when you actually walk away from the sport, is it a hard decision for you to do?
I haven't really walked away. You know, I'm about to do this TCL thing Sunday. I'm fighting Sunday
Okay.
with the Team Combat League. But I mean, and what makes it not hard for me to walk away from, I mean, I'm doing this because, one, I love boxing. I'm in shape to do it.
Yeah.
I got
You look
something
like
to
you're in
prove to
shape.
myself.
Yeah.
I had something to prove to me. And, you know, coming out of 4 years of depression, this is good for me. You know what I mean? It's very good for me. Getting ready, back in training camp,
Yeah.
But I'm not going for any titles or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, even after this, I think I have a exhibition set up in Poland at the end of the year. You know, with Krzysztof Ledarczyk. You know, we gonna do the thing, you know, for a few rounds, make some money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Money grabbing right now, having fun, but we'll see where that goes. But like you said, is it a pull for me to come back? Like my career and the way I was kind of, I don't say treated in a negative way, just overall the way I was treated in boxing, I won't have, once I really like, yo, I'm done putting the gloves down, I'm done, I ain't doing no exhibitions, I ain't doing, you know, I won't have a pull to come back because I feel so good in what I've done so far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it won't be a thing for me to be like, at 55, man, I'm gonna come back. I mean, listen, I want to be truthful. If I'm in my 50s and they talking about X amount of dollars to do this, to do that, man, listen,
You might.
hey, I'm getting my money, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
about making money, make money, make money. You ain't doing nothing without money. I don't give a damn who you are. You know what I'm
So with
saying?
so with that being said, you wouldn't even rule out something like a Jake Paul type of card.
Yeah, I most definitely do that.
Yeah.
Most definitely I do that. I don't think they do that because I sparred with Jake. I sparred with Jake but 2021, 2020. Yeah, it was 2022 or 2021. But I was down in Puerto Rico with him, sparring with him. At that time he was, I was like, man, he's nice. He's gonna
Yeah.
keep growing.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, yeah, I do that. I do that most definitely. Yeah, ain't nothing.
So you like those kind of events though, because it is a polarizing topic. There are people that are old school, that have that old school mentality, and then there are people that say, "Hey, you know what? It brings eyes to the sport, though."
I like the events, and here's why. I fought Frank Mir on the Jake Paul at Ben Askren undercard.
Right.
Right. I made 6 figures for 6 rounds. I made $150,000 for that fight.
Yeah.
All right, 6 rounds, easy.
Yeah.
Unbelievably easy. Just playing with the guy. Pop, pop,
Yeah.
pop, pop,
Right.
pop. Give me my money. That's what I'm saying. This is entertainment. It's entertainment. Boxing is entertainment. If the people aren't entertained, boxers would not make as much money as they make.
Good point. Yeah.
So and then you have these matchups. Now you have matchups. Oh, Steve Cunningham versus Frank Mir, 2-time UFC champion versus 2-time boxing champion. Oh man, it's gonna be interesting. Let's see what happens.
Right.
It's all entertainment. So what Jake Paul is doing, I think what Jake Paul has done for boxing is great. And people need to hear me out. Jake Paul, which we know is I don't want to use the word sideshow, but he's an amateur. You know what I mean? He's learning on the job.
Right.
I know. I spoke to Jake, talk with him. I hear his interviews. He really wants to learn how to box, he's learning.
Yeah.
He's there. He's doing what he needs to do. He's hired some real trainers. He hires real sparring because he has the money.
Yeah.
And he's getting it in.
Doing what he's supposed to do.
Right. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Now the events he's having, I can see if the whole card was some goofy shit. A YouTuber for each fight.
Right.
I can see if that it's not. When you look at Jake Paul's undercards, especially even when in the beginning when he first came out, there were champions, former champions, there were real fighters making money.
Females.
The fighters, you know what I'm saying? The fighters were making dollars. And like I said, I made $150,000 for 6 rounds.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to work out for that training camp.
Yeah.
I ain't had to, you know what I mean? Come on, man. I'm fighting an MMA guy. You know what I mean? Like that's no disrespect to the MMA guys and their craft, but when you come to boxing, it's a different world, especially for a guy like us. I've been doing this 20-something years. I box in my sleep. Ain't no way an MMA guy gonna beat me.
Yeah.
So you want to pay me $150K for 6 rounds? I was making $150K as a world champion in the cruiserweight.
Yeah.
Like the freak. So hell yeah. So Jake Paul is putting money, and not just money, but opportunity for the fans to see these fighters again. He's giving us he's giving us paydays. So I don't understand. I mean, I get it. A lot of the fans in boxing, they're not into boxing like that. They just want to see something now, or they want to have something to say. Jake Paul, this, and Jake Paul. Man, shut up. Jake Paul is actually great for boxing.
Yeah.
Look at his promotional company.
Yeah.
Look at what he's done with female boxing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Come on, man. People just want to hate just because hating is able to be done.
Now, what about the involvement in Saudi, man? Like now we're seeing Turkey Al Sheikh and Saudi become big time players in the sport, man. Do you like what they're doing for boxing?
I'm 50-50 on that. I'm keeping it truthful.
Because I'm going to be honest with you. Doing this podcast, I try to keep my ear to the pavement and see what's going on in the boxing news and the pages. And there are a certain sector of people out there that are protective and are kind of like, do we really want them honing in on boxing?
Right. Like my thing again, the money's involved. So you're gonna get the fighters because we just want to get paid for what we do. We want to get paid for what we do. Win, lose, or draw. And it's like, yo, this dude is shelling out some crazy paper. Yo, I'm trying to go over there with Turkey Al-Sheikh. Yo, man. But now they're doing things. They're buying up boxing. It's like going to be a monopoly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't want boxing to be like the UFC was with Dana White. I don't want that.
Scaling back a lot of the weight divisions and the belts. Are you in favor of that? That's something they like to do.
No, because like the only people that's complaining about the amount of belts are fans who don't really understand that winning those titles, those world titles, means the fighter, your favorite fighter. If your favorite fighter wins the IBF world title, he becomes a world champion for the IBF. That means his pay goes up.
Right.
That means his pay goes up. If he wins the IBO or the WBA or the WBC, his pay or hers pay goes up.
Right.
So I'm cool with those belts. Am I cool with any more belts? No. I think we need to cap it where we are.
Yeah, we got plenty.
No more titles, but cap it where we are. Probably take at least one.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. We could do that and be cool.
He's also talked about going back to the original 7 or 8 weight divisions, and so their template is getting rid of a lot of, like, when you see like the junior welterweight, that kind of stuff, those in between weights.
That's ridiculous, man. I mean, there's a lot of other things we can focus on. We should focus on, instead of getting rid of certain weight classes, let's implement the top 15 fighters in a weight class have to do a year-round drug test. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Now we talking, Turkey.
Well, you also might have a guy who walks around and does his best fighting and just happens to do it at 154 pounds. Like, why should he have to kill himself to make one weight or the other? I mean,
right.
So
and then or let's implement for the top 10 guys, you can't walk around 30-40 pounds over your weight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Things like that. Let's do that instead of taking out these bargaining chips, which are the titles, these money chips that we have, which are the titles. And and then they got to set money on how much they're paying guys. Man, I mean, it's different and everything. Every time something new comes in, it's uncomfortable and it's different. People don't like it.
Right.
But I think I think he's on some type of monopolizing the boxing business, because you got a lot of promoters that's flocking winning, that's messing winning.
Yeah.
Now he's taking over. He's took over the Ring magazine. It's like, wow,
There are people out there. There are people out there watching and observing that are wary of it, though.
I'm watching. I'm with it. I'm for the fight. I'm 100% for the fighter. If the fighter's making the most money out of his effort and work, great. Now I'm looking at the business side too. Like, whoa, but this guy's getting so much control over boxing worldwide.
Yeah.
That could be bad. You know what I mean? Or it could be uncomfortable at a point.
Now, boxing fans certainly will remember, man, that when you were, viewed as a cruiserweight coming up to heavyweight, you dropped fucking Tyson Fury. Were you that surprised to see a guy like Alexander Usyk, who is, for intents and purposes, a blown-up cruiserweight, have such an easy time with Tyson Fury? Not once, but twice.
I knew he was going to do it. I knew Usyk was going to have his way with Fury.
Yeah.
It's just guys our size that are athletic and durable.
Yeah, that's tough for him.
Right. Yeah. We can. Those big guys are nothing to us like that. It's actually child's play. I was enjoying myself in there with Fury before he started, all of the leaning and the dirty stuff. But but outside of that, if we stick to the regular rules of boxing, Fury was unanimously decision or possibly stopped before 10 rounds of that fight. But that was I wasn't surprised that Usyk. I just was I was just there to enjoy what he was going to do, because Usyk's a master boxer.
Very
master.
Yeah. Is it hard for a guy like Tyson Fury, man? Like, you shared press conferences with him, obviously shared the ring with him. Is it easy to walk away from the sport, with back-to-back losses? Do you think we've seen the last of him?
I think with the type of money he's made, it's easier to walk away and possibly go fight some low-level dude just for himself and for the fans, so he can leave and say, I left won a W. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, them dudes making 90 million a fight, 50 million. Like, man, listen, bro. I mean, I get trying to maximize and get as much as you can before you leave. Shoot, we can see Fury fight Joshua, and then after that we can see Joshua fight Wilder, and Fury probably Fury fight this guy again, or Dillian White again if they're going to do that. Make another 10 million, 5 million. Hey, millions is millions. If you put an M on the table for me, I'm fighting whoever.
Yeah, yeah. And now, as a guy that's fought in multiple weight divisions, where do you rate the chances of this super fight that we might see with Terrence Crawford going all the way up to 168, where Canelo has campaigned and lived for quite a while?
That's possible. I mean, it's highly possible because Crawford walks around probably like 70 something.
He's
You
walking
know what I'm
around
saying?
right now pretty jacked.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's no. That's the thing, man. A lot of people don't understand that. You know, guys like Boots, Crawford, Canelo, these guys walk around in the 70s. You know, the 170s. You know what I'm saying? Like walk around and function and train at some point. So it's not a problem. 168 ain't a problem.
Right.
You know.
People make it out to be more of an issue than it really is.
They do, and these are the people who are ignorant to what's going on in the gyms. You know, they're not there. Guys like us, we're there. We seen, I've been in the gym with this guy, that guy. You know, older fighters in that weight class. We know what the weight thing is. You know,
you're a tough old school fighter, man. You shared the ring with some tough old school fighters. Who gave you your toughest fight? I'd be curious to know.
Toughest fight, Guillermo Jones.
Yeah. It's always somebody that you don't expect on the list. I've noticed that all the time with people, man. It's not always the obvious guy, man, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, people would think Tyson Fury would be the obvious one for me to say. Tyson Fury wasn't the toughest. His was the most uncomfortable, you know, like he was doing things that wasn't in the lines of boxing, you know? So it's like, you should have been disqualified, buddy. But, you know, that wasn't tough because I was beating him. You know what I mean? That wasn't tough. But with the fight with Guillermo Jones,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I got you.
The fight with Guillermo Jones, that was tough because me and him were the same height, you know, long arms just like mine, you know, like 80-inch reach, and he was very skillful, you know, and I didn't have the experience that he had. You know, I think 14-0 when we fought, and or 16-0, something like that. And he was already in the 30s with his fights. He had already fought for a world title at a lower weight class and at cruiserweight. So I'm like, hey, let's go, let's fight this guy. And then I looked at him, I misjudged him. He had like a beer belly. And I'm like, I'm gonna beat this guy. You know, I had this thing, and you could call it a God complex or a conceited mindset, but I knew the work I put in.
Yeah.
I knew the work I put in and was going to put in. And I'm like, if a guy looks like that, he don't look like me, I'm ripped up because of the work I put in.
Right.
He doesn't work as hard as me. So I'm like, ain't no way somebody who doesn't work as hard as me, there's no way they're going to beat me. That's the way I thought, and that's the way I lived. So but his skill set was good, and he just gave me a rough time. You know, they were close rounds. There were more close rounds than I wanted. He caught me with some shots that I was just like, I didn't see that. His skill level was A1, you know. So, but my endurance at the end, I remember it was a 10-round fight. I remember in the 8th round, it was the 9th round. In between rounds, I stood up early. I stood up like 10 seconds earlier. And because I looked at him already, and he was over there huffing and puffing. And I started bouncing on my toes and just staring at him. And he looked down, and I was like, You know, it's like I broke him. Like, he's like, this dude's still ready. And I was dying, though. I was on the inside like, but I pushed, dude. You know, and I got the split decision win, man. Woo, that was a hard fight for me.
And so, is there anybody out there right now? Because it always seems like all these young fighters are all on social media and they're all jockeying for that position of, you know, I'm the face of boxing right now. I'm the face of boxing. Is there anybody out there right now that you think is definitively the face of boxing?
No. There's no definitive face of boxing because, I mean, it just depends on. It would depend on frequency of fights in my world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We got Tank Davis. Tank can't be the face of boxing because he's not fighting anybody. For us guys that are old school and, you know, real fans of boxing, for us, he can't be the face of boxing because his opposition is 50% and less.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like Tank has not fought anybody that he was supposed to lose to yet.
Did you feel like he lost to Lamont Roach?
I did. But I understand I understand you got to beat you got to beat the champ stuff and the outside stuff. He's the star. You really gonna have to really put it on him. Lamont Roach did some stuff we ain't never seen done to Tank before in the ring, on that stage. But I knew they wasn't going to give it to him. I thought he won it, but I knew they wasn't going to give it to him.
Were you scratching your head with the round 9 knee?
Nah, because it wasn't from a punch. You know what I mean? It was a self. It was. Well, I was. I'm keeping it freaking real. I was at first. I'm like, you know what?
I've had people even come on here and say if the roles were reversed because Tank's the A side of that fight, that if Lamont takes that knee, he probably eats a knockdown.
No doubt. I was there. I was back and forth because I'm like, well, I didn't see a punch, but then I'm like, hold up, you can't just take a knee. You can't just take a break.
Yeah.
You can't just stop the action. Oh, something's in my eye.
Yeah.
Bruh, listen, I've had things in my eye. I've had dudes elbow me in the face and blur my vision. I can't see. I can't just like, hold up, yo, let me get this. Yo, so yeah.
And let's also remember that his corner came up out of the apron with a towel, which can be a disqualification.
Man, again, Tank's the money guy. The money guy can do that. The money guy can do that. They can do whatever the freak they want, and the rules not happen or the bigger name. So with Tank being the face of boxing, no, because he doesn't fight that frequently. You know what I'm saying? And the names on his ledger are not God name. He hasn't fought any opposition where it's, man, Tank might lose. Tank should lose this one.
I agree.
And he overcame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My career, back to back.
And some of those guys
I'm supposed to lose to.
And some of those guys that could have done that, man, like a Ryan Garcia, he boiled them right down with a hydration clause. So I mean,
but even that though, like, who is Ryan Garcia? To keep it real, Ryan Garcia is famous outside. Who did Ryan Garcia beat?
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean on that level of this being a great fight. Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis was only a mega fight because of the social media fan bases. That's it. Not because of the people that they've beaten. And this is the era we're in boxing, though, so we got to respect that too, because it's making money. I guess that's the whole thing. It's making money. Now you got Canelo. Canelo would be at the top of the face of boxing because he's that guy in his opposition he's fighting. It's like, yo, this dude beat that guy. He beat this guy. Wow. But Canelo, his frequency, he's fighting once a year?
Yeah.
Now, and it's like, and who else? You got Crawford. The same thing with Crawford. When's the last time we seen Crawford? In the ring, so it's like it just depends on who fought that weekend. You know what I mean? Like, hey, unless these guys start fighting 2 and 3 times a year, that's what I'm saying. He's the face of boxing. You ain't gonna just fight one fight and it's a low level guy and I'm you the face of. Get out of here.
Who was it for you when you were coming up, man? That first resonated with you? Did you have like a boxing hero, somebody that you were watching?
Oh, most definitely. It went from Oscar De La Hoya to Roy Jones and then to Floyd. You know what I mean? That's how the face of boxing went. I'm sorry, Oscar. It went from Evander or Oscar De La Hoya, Evander Holyfield, because that's when Evander beat Mike.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That made him the face of boxing. Then you had Roy Jones. You know what I'm saying? Then Floyd really took off. Everybody is like, yo, this guy's great. So that's how it went for me. And all of those guys I named, look at the guys who they fought.
I know. Yeah, stacked resumes. Stacked.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And for people that don't know, I remember you showing it to me and my son was still co-hosting last time you were on. Artwork. Art's a big part of your life, correct?
Yeah, man. The comic book, man. I've turned fighters into superheroes at USS Comics. I took a break. I got some comic books in the works. I got 4 comic books out right now. A 3-part series of me and Amir Mansour fighting.
Yeah.
Turned us into superheroes, put a dope story behind it.
Yeah.
I also made a comic book for Austin Trout a couple years ago and turned him into a superhero. Part 2 is coming up. I just got settled back in Philly. I moved out of Pittsburgh and I'll be drawing back before the end of the spring. But I'm just getting settled now. But yeah, I love art, man. I love comic books. I just love to draw.
Where does the art talent come from? Is it something that you actually studied, man, or just found out you had this ability?
as a kid, my mom drew. My brother was my goodness, meticulous artist. And, everybody want to be like their big brother.
Yeah.
So I kind of emulated almost everything he did. And I just, just kept going, and took it to, now my career and da-da-da. And I'm like, man, I used to draw in training camps all the time, just superheroes, dumb stuff, draw other pictures. And I'm like, man, I want a project. And I started USS Comics, man, and that was what 2012. I just really started drawing, but I started the company in 2019. Now I got my skills were better, and I was close to finishing my comic book. Finished my first comic book in 2020, and man, it did good when I started selling it. I sell it with fight posters, and it was good stuff. So I'm getting back up there though. TikTok and Instagram, USS Comics, man.
And so, again, before I let you out of here, man, your next upcoming event is when for actual fighting? You said you had something coming up.
Next upcoming event is I'm on Philadelphia Smoke for Team Combat League. Where they fight everybody. Every weight class fights one round, and they count each round at the end, and whoever wins the most rounds, that team wins. Philadelphia Smoke is the returning champions of the whole season, which is dope.
Nice.
So I did a little box off a couple months ago, and of course they picked me, and hey, we taking Cunningham. They're like, man, you still look good. Like, whoa, what the heck?
Yeah.
And so we'll be fighting. Our first fight will be against the New York. I forgot what their team name is, but we're fighting against New York. Philadelphia versus New York here in Philadelphia. Team Combat League Sunday at 3 p.m. And I'm fighting as the cruiserweight for Philadelphia, repping my city again.
This coming up Sunday?
Huh?
This coming up Sunday?
This is Sunday. This Sunday. Check out Team Combat League.
Okay.
Philadelphia Smoke, or you can follow my stories and posts at USS's Legend on Instagram and Facebook. I'll be posting more about it. But Team Combat League, check that out. It's a dope concept. A lot of cities have fight teams. It's basically like basketball, but it's boxing team.
Yeah, that's
cool. Very cool. Yeah. It's very cool, man. Nashville, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, LA, Philly, New York.
Yeah.
And then I heard next season there's going to be teams from other countries. So it's getting crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. Crazy. That's cool. I could see something like that going international and getting big. Yeah. Well, listen, man, I always appreciate having you on here, man. You're one of my favorite guests, man. You really are, man. You always come on here, keep it real and chop it up, man. Definitely keep in touch, man. After the fight's over, man, we'll get on here. We'll do it again for sure.
Indeed. Yeah. All right.
I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
All right. Peace. Later. And there he goes, folks. Steve USS Cunningham, who is your former IBF Cruiserweight champion. Not once, but twice. Also moved up to the heavyweights, put Tyson Fury on his ass once. That's always a nice accomplishment. Put the big Dossa down. 30 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw, 13 KOs. And as I said, IBF Cruiserweight champion twice. The great Steve USS Cunningham. I feel a sneeze coming on, but I'm going to try to suppress it because I am a pro. It's allergy season here in upstate New York, folks. A brutal time of year. But first, before I get out of here, let me remind you to like and follow Off the Couch Boxing on Facebook. And make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on this channel to stay tapped in to the best boxing content anywhere on planet Earth. Amazing and real conversations with legends, luminaries, world champions, and fighters on the come up. Coming here to chop it up with your boy, Reckless Rexx, the undisputed, undefeated heavyweight champion of boxing podcast. Again, a big thank you to Steve USS Cunningham, former IBF Cruiserweight champion twice. And always love chopping it up with him, man. Always comes on here, always keeps it real. One of the best guests that we have on here, man. So I appreciate him. And remember, folks, you too can be a champion. How? How can I be a champion, Rexx? You might be asking. Well, just stay tapped into Off the Couch Boxing. That's first. And that's really the only rule. Stay tapped in and continue to roll with the champs. Peace.